Hey, what's up, world, and welcome to the latest episode of the Take One Podcast, episode 144. I am your host, August C. Jones, and today we got a few things to talk about. We're going to talk about the launch date of HBO Max. We're going to be talking about Spider-Man being pushed back, which affects the MCU. We're going to be talking about Scoob going to VOD, as well as what's new to rent on the stream, and I'm going to be doing a movie review of The Main Event, which is a newer Netflix movie. Now, I'd like to thank you guys for listening, and without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into the first topic, which is the launch for HBO Max. Now, so last Tuesday, the announcement was given out, and May 25th is the launch date of this service, and it will have a price of $15. Now, for those who didn't know, or you are, which a lot of you probably already know, if you didn't know, you probably already know about HBO Max and, certain services like Cinemax and, Stars have apps, have like services to where if you don't have the cable provider to watch their services and the premium channels and stuff like that, you can get it on the app. That way you can still watch the shows that you know and love. And so that's what HBO now has. Like they actually had that for a minute where you can still watch Game of Thrones, Insecure, whatever show that you like on the channel or whatever. And for the people that, did the whole cable cutting with the cable and all that stuff, and just have Netflix and all them streaming services, Amazon Prime and all that stuff, more than likely just have HBO now as one of those services. That way, if you don't have shows that are on HBO, on Netflix or Amazon or whatever, you have that app. So for those people that do have those, they don't have to worry really about anything. You can upgrade and it won't cost you anything extra or nothing like that. Like I said, when you pay the price for HBO now, it's $15. HBO Max, $15. So for those, they could just upgrade basically with getting the same service plus more, because it's rolling out with a crap ton of new shows, new original movies, as well as certain shows that you already know and love, and movies that are HBO originals that came out before, as well as some acquired stuff. Like, they're gonna have a crazy amount of stuff. Like, looking through the whole catalog is just a crazy amount of stuff, and it's all gonna roll out throughout the year and all that stuff. It's not gonna drop. Certain stuff is gonna drop on its launch date. Other stuff is gonna drop throughout the year, by the end of the year, and all that stuff. And so that's basically how every service does. It's more cheaper than a Disney Plus or an Apple TV Plus or whatnot. And I think just a little bit more than Amazon Prime Video and all that stuff. Or Amazon just Prime, period. But at the same time, you get a lot of content. You get a crazy amount of content. Which, after a while, we're going to find ourselves paying the same amount that we did for cable with all these streaming services, because this is just ridiculous. But for those who have HBO subscriptions, they can basically get it for free. And if you're an AT&T customer that has HBO, you can get it for free. It comes along with the service, and it's not for sure if it's going to be available with connection to Hulu, Amazon Prime. Like me, if you have Comcast, it won't be certain if you're going to get it, like Roku or just stuff like that. But we'll have to see if they can connect it. Maybe they're going to do it later on, but that's just how it goes. And with certain people able to get it for free, some will have like a month trial, a 3-month trial, or a 4-year trial with the service. And I'm pretty sure that those details are going to come out pretty soon. I'm not going to run through all of everything that they get, because they're going to have a large catalog with stuff that we already know, as well as original content. Like I said, like, they're going to have all the DC films, every single DC film, the Hobbit trilogy, as well as the Lord of the Rings trilogy. They're going to have Friends. They're going to have the Matrix trilogy, Rick and Morty, all the seasons and stuff. And they're going to have Game of Thrones, Insecure. They're going to have some originals. Like, they have 2 reimagining seasons of the Boondocks. I don't know what all that means. More than likely, it's going to probably be a different drawing style. Or in the sense, I guess you could say it maybe be a soft reboot I don't know if it's going to be a connection, but that's what they put. Is going to be 2 reimagining seasons as well as a 50 minutes special. They have in their grasp a Green Lantern series. I'm very curious to see how that's going to turn out. And I'm not saying that in a bad way, but it's a lot that goes with the Green Lantern. I want to know how they're going to tackle that, as well as the Justice League Dark. They're going to have an original with that. And Flight Attendant is a new series that's going to premiere on HBO Max as well. So there's a lot to look forward to. Will I get the service? I won't say that I will. I have Comcast. When it comes down to it, I'm basically trying to get caught up on certain shows that are on HBO now. And I'm not talking about the app, so I'm talking about just regular HBO. I mean, it is on HBO now, but just on regular HBO. And it's up to you whether you want to get it. Now, it's $15, like I said. You have HBO now, all you got to do is upgrade. And then you'll get the whole service, and basically it'll be replaced. So they're in a sense kind of getting rid of HBO now, but it's going to be replaced with HBO Max, so you're getting a better deal with the same price. So I don't see anything wrong with that, especially if you already have the service. If you maybe want to try something different, I maybe say just stop paying Netflix for a while and then check out, HBO Max, and then just go off of that, or whatever the heck, however you want to do it. If you feel like it's for you, whatever. I don't know. Like, to me, I'm pretty good with what I have. More than likely, you're going to have some really good shows and everything else. But as of right now, I'm not really curious to, actually. I mean, I'm just tad curious just to see what they got. But I'm not one of those people that's going to jump on board and get it. And not saying that, like, it's not appealing. It's just, I don't know. That's just not something that really kind of, like, calls to me. But if you feel like this is good for you and this is something that you want to check out, definitely check it out. It is something good to check out. Decent price, little pricey or whatever when you look at certain other like streaming services. But they say that they're going to have a cheaper tier when it comes down to it. So you're more than likely going to get it. But just like Hulu, those are going to be with ads. And I think Peacock is doing that as well. Have a cheaper tier, but it's going to have ads. So you're going to have that to deal with. But overall, it seemed like a pretty decent deal. I'm curious to see what's all going to happen with it. Especially certain shows have been halted because of world events. But I'm very curious to see what this is going to do when it finally rolls out. And so with that said, let's talk about this whole Sony thing with Spider-Man. So with everything being pushed around and moved to a later date or sent straight to VOD, which I'm going to get into a little bit later, Spider-Man, the third entry within the Homecoming series or whatever, has been moved, as well as other movies with Sony that's relating to Spider-Man or Spider-Man related. And because of its moving, the other MCU movies that were currently moved have to move again. Now, I mentioned this before with the whole Black Widow thing and them shifting that. It's not like any other movie that's on from a movie studio where you could just put it at a certain date. It's like these movies follow a timeline. They follow a organization, a structure, to where it's like one movie has to come out before this movie. You can't put movie A behind movie B where movie C is supposed to be. It's like there's everything from just the timeline to just events that happen in the movie, whether it's inside the actual movie that affects the storyline and everything else, or whether it's a end credit scene that leads to the following movie. Everything has to go in order. So if one movie is out of whack, put in a certain place, the other movies have to follow. So if I have a movie in January and I have to push it to March of that year, and that movie after that was supposed to come out in March, it has to be pushed to like July, so it has to go like that. And so it went from July 16, 2021 to November 5th, 2021, which shift Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness to March 25th, 2022 instead of November 5th, 2021, which also had an effect on Thor, Love and Thunder, which is which went from February 18th, 2022, up a week to February 11, 2022. Now, I know that's kind of weird, and I reacted the same way. I know you're thinking, like, February 11th, like, really a week earlier? Like, certain movies are getting pushed back, later on. This movie got literally pushed up a week ahead. So, I don't know, like, I reacted the same way, but looking at the schedule for 2022, if everything goes according to plan and they don't really shift too much that year, we're going to have 4 MCU movies. So I wouldn't even really question it. Because when you look at it, like I said, we have Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, March 25th, 2022. And then a month before that is going to be Thor, Love and Thunder, which is coming out February 11, 2022. Later on that year, well, actually a few months later, which is Black Panther 2 coming out May 6, 2022. And then Captain Marvel coming out in July 8th, 2022. Like, we're going to have 4 MCU movies. So I'm not really, like, getting up in wits about that. Like, I'm not going to question it. Which I think that they should shift Captain Marvel to November and shift Black Panther to like July, and then shift like what is it, Doctor Strange a little bit, like a couple months after that, just to kind of spread it out throughout the year and not have them all condensed in one area. You kind of want to have a movie like that toward the end of the year. But this whole world situation has like flipped everything around and just turned the whole world upside down, and everything is not where it's supposed to be. It's just crazy. And also Sony did some other shifts, which they took the sequel to Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. It went from April 8th, 2022 to October 7th, 2022. And Venom, Let There Be Carnage, went from coming out this year, October 2nd, 2020, to next year, June 25th, 2021. Now, I don't know, like, I mean, these are some good dates, as well as, like, Spider-Man to Spider-Verse 2, I guess we're going to call it now, Spider-Verse 2. When it comes to that, I really would have loved it to come out around the same time in December, like the first one did, but, hey, I mean, as long as it's good, I don't care. But, Let There Be Venom, I don't know. It seems like both dates are good. You want to keep it in, a lot of times you want to keep it in spirit when you're working with a sequel, to kind of maybe have it come out around the same time that the original did. But, I mean, June 25th seemed like a good, time to put it out. That's the summer season. That's a time where a lot of people are going to be going to go see movies. But at the same time, when you look at that, time schedule, I haven't looked at all the movies that's coming around that time, but more than likely, you're going to have a lot of big budgeted movies coming out around that time. So when it comes to it, I don't know, like, it's kind of, I don't know, like, it may prevail, but we'll see. But, yeah, I feel like they had to make these moves, and that's the kind of thing with, like, certain stuff like this, that's forcing like movies to move to new release dates, and then the MCU having to work with a certain structure. So when you move one, you got to move several ones after that. And more than likely, even though they haven't announced a lot of the other movies that's coming out of that, more than likely they have a specific date that they want to try to go after. So even though they might not have mentioned a release date for Guardians 3 or Ant-Man 3 or any other movie that they plan to come out with, it's like they more than likely have those dates in mind. They just haven't announced what those dates and what those movies are. So, but yeah, it's just, everything is crazy. But hopefully this all ends soon. That way it won't be any more shift in movies to later dates. And that way we won't have to wait to see these upcoming anticipated films. Now, speaking of movies, another movie that is not moving from its release date, but in fact going to VOD, just like a recent movie that we all were talking about, which is Trolls World Tour. Scoob goes straight to VOD on the day that it was supposed to premiere in theaters, which is May 15th, and it's trying to follow suit. So this is right now more of an experiment on what movies can do if going straight to VOD, what they can do. Like I recommended before, that maybe, studios are going to send their movies to VOD that they don't really have too much faith in, that they don't think is going to make a crazy amount of money. But this is the right time to really test it, in a sense. I mean, you can't get the full effect because people don't have the option to go to the movie theater. So that's out the question. When people are stuck at home, this is a new movie, so it's like, okay, I can't go to the show, so I'm gonna watch a new movie at the crib or whatever, and pay the $20 or whatnot for the rental fee. So, in a sense, it is kind of like the start of a testing ground. Like I said before, the real test is when everything is back up and running. That's the real test. But Scoob is gonna follow suit, and for those who haven't heard of it, it's like a new kind of like, I ain't gonna say reimagining, but it's a new film about Scooby-Doo, and it's kind of like an origin story as well as like a regular film and all that stuff. And it's going to be a VOD. Like I said, $20 is the price tag for the rental fee. But they're also doing something different. It's coming straight to VOD. Like, it's going to skip the whole theatrical type of release. I mean, of course, they can't do it in the movie theaters anyway, but it's not going to be like Trolls World Tour where you only had a rental to do. You're going to be able to buy it digitally on that same day. You're going to be able to, and this is kind of like where it comes in, where it sounds like the whole Thor thing, where it moved from one day back another day to where it's like it's supposed to come out on the 18th, and now it's coming out on the 11th of that same month. So it's like it moved the month ahead. I mean, it moved a week ahead, and now Scoob is coming to VOD, $20 price tag. But get this, you can own a digital copy for $25. So yeah, it's kind of like, I guess you can say, with doing this, they probably learned from Trolls World Tour, which I don't think that it was, I guess you could say, the best idea, because the only thing with Trolls World Tour is that the only bad thing about it is that, like, if you're a parent and your kid constantly wants to see this, you got to constantly keep renting it over and over. So that's 20, 40, 60, 80, blah, blah. I wouldn't be surprised if parents spent $100 trying to satisfy their kid with this purchase of Trolls World Tour. But with Scoob, it's going to make it easier on parents because they're going to get to buy it to where if the kids love it, they can constantly keep replaying it or whatever. But that's the only drawback. It's like the studio won't really make any money off of it. You're going to make money by buying it, but where the money came at Trolls World Tour was that they had to keep paying the $20 each time after that 48-hour period is up that they wanted to watch it. So it's kind of like you're going to make money, but you're not going to make as much money as you can possibly can. It's like basically you're giving people the option to either, like if movie theaters was open, you're giving people the option to either go to the theater and watch it or buy it on DVD and watch it at the crib as many times as you want without having to constantly pay for each time that you watch it. So you're basically giving it that price. Now, I get like they're trying to cater to the parents. A lot of times, like, money is tight, whatever, if they're not working, and that way their kids will be satisfied. But at the same time, I guess you can't really argue, in a sense. You can't really argue because really a lot of movie studios don't really think like that. A lot of movie studios just want money. They don't care if you got paid $20 each time. And I guess you could say they're kind of catering to their, to the consumer, in a sense. They're going to lose a lot of money on this. Don't get me wrong. They're going to lose a crazy amount of money on this. And the most money they might get is if the parents don't want to own it, which I don't think that would be a thing. But, the kids want to see it and they love it, they can watch it all over again. But if you want to see it, you don't have kids, I say, like, they probably may make money off of you, especially if you rent it and you really love it, then you're going to buy it. So you're going to spend $45 on this movie to watch it and stuff. The best bet is to really just buy it. Really just buy it. I don't know. But I guess you could say it's kind of a good thing that they are kind of like catering to the consumer in these harsh times right now. But yeah, that's the offer. That's the offer right there. It's on the table. You can either rent it for $20 for a 48-hour period, or you can buy it and watch it anytime as you want. Just have the kids replay. You know how kids constantly watch the same movie and stuff over and over and over again. Now, jumping to a related topic, let's talk about everything that's new to rent on the stream April 28th, 2020. So, on digital media, the photograph is coming out, so you can go ahead and get that, rent that, or buy that, or whatever for digital release, as well as Guns Akimbo, which I really recommend that you guys need to watch. It's a ridiculous movie. I'm going to do a movie review on it. I don't know when, but I'm going to do a movie review on it. But it is a really good movie. If you like action, gore, and all that stuff, that's the type of movie that you should be into. And as well as physical media, the rhythm section is going to be for purchase, as well as Guns Akimbo, so you can buy it on digital and physical media. Mortal Kombat Legends Scorpion's Revenge is also coming to DVD and Blu-ray and all that stuff. It's already been on digital, so if you haven't seen it, this is the time to go ahead and check it out. I haven't watched it yet. More than likely should be on rent tomorrow, so when I go ahead and rent that, I will be having a review for it soon. And that is everything to rent on the stream. Now, to end off the podcast with a movie review is one of the latest films that appeared on Netflix, which is called The Main Event. And yeah, this is a very interesting film to watch. So this movie is about a kid who really loves wrestling, WWE to be specific. He finds a mask that gives him superhuman abilities, and after finding out that his father might lose his house, he joins the NXT tryout, and whoever wins the competition gets $50,000. But there are people that don't want to see him triumph. And yeah, like I said, this is a very interesting movie to watch. This movie, just straight off the bat, is for kids. If you're a big wrestling fan, you probably might get a kick, a big laugh out of just the absurdity that this movie has to offer, because it has a lot. I mean, I could pick apart the hell out of this film, but I won't. This movie, it has certain like WWE superstars, some big names. It has Kofi Kingston up in there, Keith Lee, Corey Graves, Renee Young, Mia Yim, Sheamus, and Otis. And surprisingly, they weren't bad. They were not bad. Keith Lee actually has a bigger role out of all the WWE superstars that are in the movie or whatever. And he actually did pretty decent. He had the regular type of like cheesy acting and stuff like that. But I mean, when you watch this movie, it's like, what do you expect more? Do you expect like Shakespeare in the Park? Like, no, you don't expect that type of stuff. And this movie really does jump the shark. Like I said, it's crazy absurdity. I found myself really enjoying it, but in a way of just how absurd it is. Like, they have the kid doing one of the tryout matches, literally running on the ropes, doing like just the craziest shit that no human person, not a wrestler, would do, that will literally be in the same realm of like the MCU. Like, it's just crazy. I mean, he does like, it's one time where he does like 10 flips in the air. This was just crazy. It's like they wanted to go away with this movie, and they just went that way plus above and beyond. Like, you have to completely suspend all disbelief or just be a kid to really, and I mean really, enjoy this. Unless you just want to laugh. Unless you just want to sit there and laugh through these hard times. It's very ridiculous. It's just super ridiculous. And it's like WWE friendly like a motherfucker. Like, it's just, it's literally like, you could tell this is a WWE movie because it's so WWE friendly. Like, it just, WWE is the only thing that exists in this world. This kid is a huge fan of WWE, and that's it. Which, it's not too far from reality, but still, and then you got Seth Carr as Leo. I didn't really enjoy his performance. I really didn't. Just the stuff that they had him do up in there, it's just, I enjoyed that more than anything else. The absurdity with his character, and like when he's actually have the mask on and wrestling, like that shit is just ridiculous. You have Tashina Arnold as like Leo's grandma Denise, who's over the top but seemed like she was having fun at least, and quite literally enjoyed doing this movie, which, yeah, I could see that. I really could see that. It had some entertainment, a lot of the jokes, yeah. It was just, like I said, the absurdity was the funny thing about it, the more entertaining thing. One of the entertaining things in this movie was Corey Graves and Renee Young's interactions. They have 2-3 scenes up in this movie where they have certain interactions, and it was actually kind of like funny. I really did like that. I would love to have seen more of that type of humor, but it's just like they wanted to go another route, and whatever, good on them, whatever. And the ending of this movie honestly would not happen at all. Like I said, this is one of those times where you have to completely suspend disbelief, just completely. Other than that, you're gonna just be sitting there wanting to pick apart the hell out of this movie. And I can say, with WWE, with the 2 WWE projects that came out, with the Big Show and this movie, I actually had more fun with this movie than I did with the Big Show, which I'm gonna give my thoughts on them. I have a review up soon, but yeah, I had more fun with this. But there is an emotional aspect to this movie that was lightly touched on, but from time to time, but really didn't hit any emotional strings, and I felt like they went to an extreme lengths to jump the shark. And they could have at least dove a little deeper into that part of their lives that was being Leo's mother. And they just really didn't go that far. It has some good setups that has some good payoffs, I can admit that. And really some of the best parts of this movie were the cameos from the WWE superstars, and just really, like I said, the absurdity of everything that was going on screen. Like, it's just crazy. As far as a movie, yes, it is a miss, a total miss. But I feel like you would enjoy it. Just check it out. You will really, really enjoy it. But I do think that you would have to do some drinking beforehand or some drugs to fully embrace the craziness and just the ridiculousness of what this movie is throwing at you. Other than that, just put it on for the kids, especially if they like WWE. They probably might appreciate this movie way more than you do. And yeah, that movie was just nuts. But that is my review on the main event. And that has been the podcast. I'd like to thank you guys for joining me and for listening. And if you liked it, go ahead, give it a thumbs up and subscribe, hit the notification bell and all that jazz. And I will catch you guys later on whatever I have next coming out on my channel. So stay tuned, and I will catch you guys next time. Peace.